dirt pit deal. I'm not sure how we do it because the guy has
You're up,
verbally
Steve.
said he's going to control it.
Steve, you're up.
We'll check him out right now.
Okay. Good morning. Welcome to our July 1st, 2019 board meeting. We're going to call this meeting to order. I'm going to ask Craig Slay if he'd say our prayer for us.
Let's pray. Lord God, we're just blessed to be in your presence today, and we thank you, Father, for being here with us. Thank you for these men, for their service to this community. I pray, Father, that you'll strengthen them and encourage them, Father, that you would give them wisdom so that as they make decisions today, they'll be in keeping with your will. Father, that they will leave today knowing that they've done everything they can for the betterment of Rankin County. Father, thank you for such a great county where we can participate in our government. Father, it's a privilege. We don't want to take it for granted. Thank you for the freedoms that we enjoy and the men and women, Father, who have paid the ultimate price so that we can participate in our government and exercise the freedoms that have been purchased at such a high price. Father, we pray all this in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Is he coming?
Vacation, I think.
All right, right out of the
Yeah, I think he
chute,
did say one.
we have a presentation of an award we'd like to take care of, and this is I'll just read what we have. Presentation 2019 recipient of the MAS, or Mississippi Association of Supervisors County Employee Scholarship Award. And it's been awarded by Mississippi Association of Supervisors and the Rankin County Board of Supervisors. Mr. Martin, would you step forward? We have a little presentation.
And I want Aaron and Wanda to come forward as well, because I'm sure that there's going to be a photo opportunity. Mitchell, we're proud of you, son. Thank you for coming today. Stand right over here. I understand that you are easily embarrassed, which is, I mean, that's just like throwing fuel on the fire to me. I'm going to just keep right on embarrassing him. We are really proud to be able to make this presentation. Mitchell, this is a presentation as the 2019 recipient of the MAS County Employee Scholarship. This is awarded by the Association of Supervisors and by your Board of Supervisors. And it's a nice little check that goes with that, okay? So I'm going to hand all of this to you, and you're going to get an opportunity for a photo. Aaron, congratulations to you. Thank you. Absolutely. Ms. Wanda, congratulations to you. Come stand over here. Mitchell, congratulations, man. We're proud of you, okay? Y'all come right here. All the supervisors will be right there behind you.
Yes, sir, congratulations.
Good job, sir.
Hard work.
Yes, that's right.
I know you're proud.
Mr.
You're
President,
welcome one time.
Appreciate it.
Mr. President's going to hurt your feelings, but Mitchell's going to be at Mississippi State next year. And, he's going to start in engineering, so we're really proud.
Why do you think he won?
Yeah. That is quite an accomplishment. We're not talking about just from Rankin County. This is statewide, and he's great achievement. All right, next on our agenda, we have another group that we want to recognize, and we've gotten lots of recognition over the last few years with our sheriff's department doing what they do and being the best in the state, and our road department received some awards, and most of our departments are just excelling in every direction. But we just got a new award a couple of weeks ago. Our community development received recognition from all over the state, picked our community development to be the best community development office in Mississippi. And thank you, Renee, and we have something for y'all too. So if y'all would come forward.
Everybody that's with the Office of Community Development, please come forward. We've got special recognition, Mr. President, that has been adopted by the Board of Supervisors. And so, now look, you guys organize all over the county. Y'all all know how to organize yourselves. All right. So I'm going to read this resolution for you guys. Know that it's heartfelt, and we're exceedingly proud to be able to say that our Community Development Office is at the top of the list in the entire state of Mississippi. That's an impressive achievement. Very deserving. So I'm going to read this recognition. Whereas the Rankin County Board of Supervisors is the first to recognize the absolute necessity of hardworking, well-trained, faithful, competent, and caring servants placed in critical leadership roles in Rankin County government. And whereas the Board of Supervisors recognizes the Rankin County Office of Community Development as an example of a critical county function providing valuable constituent services staffed by hardworking, well-trained, faithful, competent, capable, caring, underpaid, public servants.
I don't think that part's in there.
That was editorial. Whereas it is with great pride on behalf of all citizens of Rankin County, we recognize, commend, and congratulate the Rankin County Office of Community Development on being awarded the 2019 Building Department of the Year in the state of Mississippi by the Building Officials Association of Mississippi. And whereas special recognition is afforded to the department head and our director, Renee Lawrence, who has faithfully served Rankin County for 26 years, along with her assistant director, Dwayne Jones, who has faithfully served Rankin County for 13 years. The staff of the Rankin County Office of Community Development includes our office manager, Ashley Thurman. When you hear your name called, if I've stated it correctly, raise your hand. Ashley Thurman. Permit clerk, Teresa Smith. Oh, goodness. Permit when she gets stopped. Permit clerk, Kayla Harrell. Building official, Brian Measles. Building inspector, Troy Clark. Building inspector, Anthony Guy. Building inspector, Scott Swinney. And part-time building inspector, Jerry Bounds. Our code enforcement officer is Kathy Bounds. All right. And now therefore it's resolved, the Rankin County Board of Supervisors recognizes, congratulates, and commends the Rankin County Office of Community Development on being selected as the building official by the Building Officials Association of Mississippi as the 2019 recipient of the Building Department of the Year for the state of Mississippi. This is signed by all of the supervisors on behalf of the Chancery Clerk. It's dated today. It's suitable for framing, Renee. We're so proud of y'all. Very good. Thank y'all.
Thank y'all very much.
They've got enough photos to choose from. Thank y'all.
All right, take her coat off now. All right,
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
We had caught one
But
more
we got
Brandon
Brandon
Cobb.
Cobb.
we hadn't got there yet, but if you want to jump down there and go ahead and do it.
We can always come back.
Yeah, let's go ahead, Ben, you brought it. We got a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Got a second by Jared. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Now let's go catch Mr. Cobb. Vic, come on up, sir.
Yeah, just bring the podium with you.
Yeah, I'm more used to having it here. I don't want to just stand here holding a piece of paper in front of y'all. Y'all always have the most interesting people in front of me. I think I'm going to start emailing my report to y'all.
You're a hard act to follow when you come up.
Well, things have been going at a normal pace as far as mosquito control is concerned. We've been following the schedule about what we would expect so far this year, although we have had a lot of rain the last couple of months, which, you know, when it rains at night, it keeps us from spraying. We have to catch up the following nights when it's not. But so far, everything is following about according to what is normal each year. The only concern I have going forward is with all the rain we've had, July is usually a dry month. When it starts getting dry after a rain, that's when it starts puddling. You know, most of the water dries up, you leave the little puddles, and that's where that's what they like. They like that water that's kind of nasty, has been sitting there a while. So we're going to be looking for that and doing a little bit of extra spraying during July. When we have off-on rains, it comes in and it flushes those out and keeps fresh water in. It's not so much the rainy season we got to worry about it. It's when the rains stop and everything starts drying up, but there's just a pool here and a pool there. So that's what we're going to be looking for in the next month or so. And we're going to do some increased spraying this time of year, as we do every year, and larval surveillance, and just keep watching our traps. But so far, we're right on schedule for the year. Y'all have any questions for me?
I do. I know you have trackers that show when they go and how fast and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to get that printed out to give to a constituent?
Every month we send you a report that has a map of every night we've sprayed and shows what night, where they've been, and when the sprayer was on, and you can just take a copy of that night and email it to them.
Okay.
Or if you need a specific date, timeframe, Jay, I'll work with them on getting whatever information that you need for that specific.
I just have one lady that says y'all aren't coming by, and.
Tell me
so-
what area.
Old Fanny Road.
Okay, let me, when I get back to the office today, I'll look at, through the maps, and I will just, compile them together and send you several maps from where we sprayed the last couple of months.
Send me an email, I'll send you the 2 streets.
Okay.
That way you don't have to go through all of it. You know?
Well, most of our maps, the way we've got the county, we've got it divided into 27 spray zones,
Okay.
which is enough for one night, for one person to finish a night, each spray zone.
Yeah,
And our maps are of that zone, and I can't just do a single street.
okay, that's what I was trying to find out for you. All right,
The way it does is our trucks have a GPS unit on a computer board. That is downloaded to a tablet, sent to a computer, and then we have a person in the company who, I think she lives in Ohio. She makes the maps according to the GPS data. So it's one map per spray zone. And some maps, like we do 3 zones in Rankin County in a night, it is expanding of Rankin County with those 3 all on there. So they get smaller in detail the more we do each
so
night.
it's just the zone, not necessarily the individual street.
Yes, you can see the street, but it's kind of like somebody coloring a map. Our lines show green when where we've been spraying, red where we've turned the sprayer off for one reason or another on a road, you know, there's high traffic, or we're passing a jogger or something, we turn it off, it'll show red, and it shows kind of an aqua green where we've been spraying, and you'll see that area with the green lines up and down the streets, but we can't focus in on one section of road.
I used to, we could do that. I guess that's when we had our own tracking system.
I don't think we ever got a map printout by street.
Yeah, because you remember that one that
Oh, yeah.
was backing up in the wrong place.
We can see the street, but not just isolate. I guess I could zoom in on a map, cut that one street out, and zoom in, and
Well, that's the same thing I get, Brandon. And they say, well, he's not coming down our street. And I know you, late at night, I mean, I've come in late and y'all are spraying, and I see y'all periodically on my road. Otherwise, it's very periodically. I don't know when you come either. So I tell people that, but, you know, they still say, oh, they're not coming down my road. And I don't know how else to tell them other than yes, they are, and you can't argue with them. They say, we don't
I
ever
get
see
that a
them.
lot. I get people calling,
Yeah.
saying we hadn't sprayed in 2 years, and we go back and look at the map, and, you know, and show them where it is. And the thing is, the trucks of old were very loud. The way they fog, they use what's called a thermal fogger, which is just putting a chemical on a hot plate, so to speak, and the big fog billows out. We use it, what's called ultra low volume. It's air blown mist. It doesn't put out the same looking fog, but it actually does a better job than that did. Getting to areas we can't, like behind the houses and stuff as we pass by. They're a lot quieter. The machines, the trucks themselves are a lot quieter. And depending on where you are in that zone, like we were talking about the zones, if I start on the east end tonight in zone 10, which is Castle Woods, I may not make it to the west end till 10, 11 o'clock at night. But if I come in on the west end, it may be the east end I get to it. And each of our drivers, it just kind of individual which way they like best is where they start. As long as they cover the zone in one night, I don't care where they start or where they finish, as long as they cover the entire zone. So if you're asleep, you're not going to hear our trucks. If you're not on the front porch, there are times when I've been sitting at the house, friend's house. I don't get to spray my own. I lived in the city of Brandon. But I've been sitting at a friend's house, truck passed by, and I know they're out there. I didn't hear them, and I knew they were coming.
Yeah, they are a lot quieter. You're right. I've followed them home. Yeah.
We joked about putting sirens and lots more lights on the trucks to let people know, or like the ice cream truck, play a little music as we come through the neighborhood. But then we get complaints at 10 o'clock at night for noise.
11
So,
o'clock at night, they have music
we'll do
going.
anything we can to assure these people. We'll show them maps and stuff. And maybe I can get with corporate and see if there's a way we can zoom down to an individual map. Although I'm going to
just send
give
me
my
what you
map
got and we'll go
makers
from there.
your phone number, because she can be very mean.
The dead end roads, I think, are where I hear it the most. They say they're not, which I say, I'm not saying you're not at all.
Well, one of
I'm
the
just-
problems I have with dead end roads that people really comment on, like we had this with a guy who had bees the other day, is our policy is to drive in, not spray. and spray out. So we're not driving back through the spray and dispersing it and also getting it all over the truck. Because it will do no good to drive back
Right.
through our spray and then double spraying. So a lot of people will see us driving in and nothing coming out of the back of the truck. Oh, well, they drove in, but they weren't spraying. But we spray out to avoid messing up the spray. And we had a guy call the other day, beekeeper, he didn't hear the truck coming in and saw it coming out and chased her down to catch her, because we didn't know he had bees, he didn't have it posted, he did not contact us. We got it resolved, got it put as a no spray zone, but he didn't know we were spraying because when he first saw the truck, he didn't think nothing of it because spray wasn't coming out. But again, it was a dead end road and she was spraying out, not spraying in. So that's one thing we get with dead end roads. A lot of people, oh, you know, they drove down here, but the guy ain't spraying.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but anytime a citizen has a question, I'm happy to talk to them, happy to show them whatever information we have. Anytime y'all want to call me, I'm happy to help any way I can
I know
to
you
assure
are.
them.
You always have, and I appreciate that, yeah. Yeah, a lot of times I tell them that, they go, I tell them what time y'all come through, they go, oh my goodness, I've been asleep. So, you know,
Yes.
kind of a no-win answer. But anyway, thank you. You've always been a lot of help. Thank you.
We want to serve the people of Rankin County, and we're happy to. Any other questions? I'll get that to you when I get to the office.
Thank you.
All right, thank y'all. Have a good day.
Thank you, Brandon. All right, we've already taken care of our minutes under old
Motion to
business.
approve consent agenda.
All right,
Second.
Bob makes a motion to approve consent agenda, Jay seconds. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Sullivan.
Out here. Wanda, or Laura, or Craig, somebody.
Okay, item A, request to void 2017 tax sale and refund any tax purchaser for parcel numbers E10G 1815 PN 75457. The aforementioned parcel was acquired by MSU CVM Clinic Outreach Services Incorporated, a tax exempt entity during the 2016 tax year, and should have been coded tax exempt.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve by Bob, second by Jay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Item B, request approval of 2019 real and personal property assessment rolls and accept written objections by Monday, August 5th, 2019 at 9 a.m. and set a public hearing for Thursday, August 15th, 2019 at 9 a.m. and authority to publish public notice in the Rankin County News.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Bob, second by Jay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Ms. Herring.
Good morning.
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 My first item this morning, we have a bid opening for precast bridge components. I received one bid from Silver Needle LLC. I'm not going to read out each of these. There are 84 components, and they have submitted a bid price for each of the bridge components. I recommend those be taken under advisement.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right. Bob makes a motion. Jared seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Motion passes to take those under advisement.
Thank you. We can actually take B and C together if you'd like. On June 3rd, I opened bids for the bridge installation. I recommend that those bids be rejected and that we re-advertise for those term bids.
Motion to approve.
Reject the bids for bridge installation and re-advertise.
Okay.
Were they just not at all what we was expecting, or?
Pretty much, there were a lot of components. We want to redo the bids and put it on a bid form so we can have apples to apples when they're submitting their bids.
Yes,
The time frame is going to be the exact same time that we can award these precast bridge components, so it'll all work out
Good deal.
perfectly.
All right.
Second.
Bob, did you make the motion?
Yeah.
Bob made the motion. Jay second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Motion passes to put these away and re-advertise.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bridget.
You can see it, Mr. Harrison, unless you got something besides that to cover. Motion to approve the road work for June and projected for July.
Second.
All right, Bob makes a motion, Jared seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Craig?
We were trying to time item A, Mr. President, and the timing, y'all went a lot faster than we thought it was going to work. So if I may, I'd like to ask if we skip item A for the moment.
Yes, sir.
We'll revisit that, because I suspect we have other things to talk about today that probably will take up more time. So we'll get to that shortly. Item B would be to set a public hearing for July the 15th for the Michelle Tuller conditional use permit at 304 Helmsley Drive.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Bob, second by Jared. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any disapprove? Motion passes.
Item C, Mr. President, is the continuation of a public hearing on the Robert and Karen Alls conditional use permit at 1532 Shell Oil Road. This is District 3. We'll reopen that public hearing. Robert and Karen Alls are seeking a conditional use permit to operate an online auction company with an existing metal building at 1532 Shell Oil Road. They'll be open to the public 1 week per month for preview days and for pickup days. The parking area is gravel. It's a 6.53 acre parcel zoned A1. I'll ask if Mr. or Miss Alls are present today. Yes, if you don't mind, if you'll come forward, please. While Ms. Alls is coming forward, is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this matter? Anyone? All right. Mr. President, if the board has questions, Ms. Alls, this would be the time to ask.
Ms. Alls, I appreciate you coming today. I guess my biggest question is kind of why we're here today. I mean, the opportunity from a business standpoint as well as a building being at the front of the lot and the lack of not getting the building permit to begin with, I mean, all that could have been done at the front end, and we've been glad to work with you. Probably would have done everything you probably wanted to do to some degree, but yet here we are.
Did not realize, being out in the county, this is the first property we've bought in Mississippi since we've been here, moved from Arkansas. And even the rules we kind of talked to in other people in other counties is if you were not in the city limits, you could build a building and no big deal. So that's when we started out and found this out. The building actually started out to be just a warehouse. My husband sells antiques, done this for years, managed another auction company. So this was just gonna be storage. Lost his job in the middle to the end of the process of building this. So that's when I'll just open my own auction company came up.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
more of blindside, didn't realize being that far out.
And just for the record, if we had to start all over and do it again, I probably wouldn't have an issue going along with it, but I probably would have brought your house up some and maybe move that building back off the road where it wasn't so close to the front like it is. I'm willing to work something out here from a conditional use. The conditional use, I think Renee and I have discussed, the big issues here, the conditional use would terminate with you selling the property, or if you change the business. If you decide to get out of the online and you want to go in a different direction with some other kind of business there, you need to come back before the board and let the board at that time make a decision whether they want to continue on with that. And if you do sell it, then that use dies too, and whoever comes in, buys the property, will have to come back before the board and get permission to do whatever it is they want to do there. I think some other issues was that you're going to add on a little 10 by 10 for a restroom to make it ADA compliant.
And Brian came out, we discussed with him. I've got a picture of, if you need it, of the building that we're looking at to buy. And that's just on hold until we get the approval.
Okay. I think we're going to say, go ahead, Renee, do your conditions, so I'm going to forget something.
What are the conditions?
Turn a mic on, would you, Craig?
I'm sorry, one of the conditions, no outside storage or displays. Everything has to be
Correct.
inside the building.
I've noticed a couple of tractor trailers out there by the building.
The one, yes. Now, the little ones come and go. That's when we're unloading, but the H&P stays there. Our plan was to get rid of that building, and when we kind of get everything situated. And the stuff that's in it's supposed to be moved up to the other building.
Okay.
But it's just taking longer than we expected.
Well, what, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days to get that moved, maybe?
Okay.
What time frame?
That should work.
About 120
Which one?
days to move. the
Yeah.
He gave you about 4 of them.
Yeah, which one do we want to go
120
with?
days to get in the trailers moved.
Okay.
Would
Now, the
like-
other trailers, just as I say, are just our cargo trailers.
Right.
So when they pick an estate up, they park them up there, they unload. And then usually those trailers, just for safety purposes, are taken up behind the house and parked, up there just
Okay.
for theft purposes.
If it becomes an issue to the point where they're staying more at the shed, maybe we can talk about maybe doing a privacy fence and keeping them behind the privacy fence.
Okay.
Maybe, but as long as you're moving them on up to the house, that's fine.
Right.
I think we talked maybe some landscaping, bushes basically in the front to kind of break up a little bit of
Okay.
the starkness of the red building off the road. You're okay on the handicap? You said you were good there as far as the compliance?
Right, she's gonna address those things.
Yes, Brian talked to us about that.
When she gets-
And what really caught my attention, although it's a red building, what caught my attention was the online auction sign on the building when I was riding by one day. What is our rules on the signage part, Renee?
Well, if it's on the building, a permit's not required. If she were having a pole sign or, installing some other type sign, then it would be required. Did you want a more permanent? I think that's like a banner type thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that was just a banner that they would hang up.
I have no problem if you want to put up when you say permanent, I'm thinking expensive. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it needs to be something a little more consistent, not with the area, but yeah, just something that just doesn't stand out quite.
Okay.
Again, it's against that red brick, that red building. It just
Right.
really, it gets your eye attention. There's no doubt being the yellow sign. If we could do something like that, that would work. Hours of operation, I think you've covered those, Renee, as far as,
Well, she's only there, she says 2 days out of
We're-
the month.
They have a preview, which means somebody can come and look at the
Right.
items, is on a Monday and Tuesday.
Okay.
The auction closes on a Tuesday night, and they have 3 days to come pick the items up, or the items to be shipped out, or we deliver the items.
okay,
So basically, it's just 1 week a month that anybody's there.
okay. Any issues with lightings? I have not been down through there at night. I mean, or you have any big bright lights out there to do
No,
anything?
we've got 2 floodlights that are on the building. If we're out there working, they're turned on.
Right.
But they're facing the other property,
Okay.
of which we've talked to Cliff. He has no problems with anything. He actually stores his tractor on our property right now.
Right.
And then we have a Southern Pine, just regular
Gotcha.
light behind the building.
Okay, that'll work. Anything else for Dan?
I can't think of
Parking?
anything else. They've got adequate parking there.
Yes.
Okay.
They're gonna have a ADA hard surface, he'll install that. And they're gonna make the ADA bathrooms, everything like they need to. We'll be checking all that. You'll have to have a permit for that to install your bathrooms and that kind of
Okay,
thing.
how do we need to do the
They're
building?
not that
Do we need to
bad.
get another permit for them to bring the building out?
Yes, you will for that accessory, that
Okay.
second, yeah.
The only thing else I can make sure we have clarity on is the sign is something professional looking as opposed to letting my son go out there
Yes,
and,
yes.
and fixing one up for you. Anything else you think of, Ms. Renee?
No, sir.
Mr. President, I make a motion, we approve the conditional use subject to those conditions we just listed out.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Bob to approve, second by Jared. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I have. So you saying your son can't put in a
No.
good sign?
Now, he's left-handed to boot too, and he can't write at all. I bet he has skipped teaching people how to write at this age. It is just horrible. And I
That's-
write bad too. His is worse than mine.
That's in my teenage.
So,
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion passes.
thank you, Ms. Hall. We appreciate it.
Good luck.
Hey, Craig, before you start, I have just a little note.
Yes, sir.
We also have a distinguished young man in our crowd that is doing community service. He's working on a merit badge.
Okay.
John Gordon, can you come up front just for a minute and tell us what you're doing here and what the merit badge and the Boy Scouts mean to you? Mike.
Right there.
I'm here doing my citizenship in the community merit badge for Troop 1. In Troop 1, and I'm a Star Scout.
What troop do you belong to? What church? Who sponsors the
in
troop?
Troop 1.
Troop 1?
Yes.
Okay, wait, Baptist, First Baptist?
All right. Thank you.
That's great.
Appreciate it, congratulations.
Keep it up.
Yep.
Now then,
For the record, I want to make sure that the record is clear that the Robert and Karen Aulds public hearing is closed. The next item is a continuation of the public hearing for the Yates Construction Roger Grantham conditional use permit at 136 Grantham Farm Road. This is District 1. We'll open that public hearing, and I'll ask if anyone is interested in speaking on it to come forward. However, we have received word as of this morning that Mr. Grantham, Roger Grantham, who's a co-applicant on this, wishes to withdraw the application. He does not want the board to pursue this. So with that information, I will ask if there's anyone here who needs to speak on this matter in light of the fact that the application itself is being withdrawn. Anybody wish to speak on it? Okay. Mr. President, I don't see any need other than to close the public hearing and to note on the record that there is no action to be taken because the application itself has been withdrawn. Since we have interested individuals here who probably need to understand what this means, I wanted to opine on that. This is free legal opinion that I'm rendering for them. What this means is that the pit itself has a DEQ clearance as it relates to a 4-acre site. DEQ has already spoken on that and has issued a certificate that establishes that for the purpose of the 4-acre delineated area, that is available for material to be moved or removed. However, there is no conditional use permit issued by Rankin County at the moment. So the DEQ permit does not help get dirt out of the pit because the second part of the equation is the county's permit for conditional use. At the moment, there is no conditional use permit from the county because there is no application for the county to act on. And so I want to make that clear to anybody here who is thinking, well, I'll just go get dirt out of the pit. Nope. The problem now is that Mr. Grantham, I would presume Mr. Grantham, is going to need to quickly, hurriedly, if he wants that pit to be operational, get with Renee, get with her office, and get an application for conditional use back in front of this board. It's clear that the Yates application was creating and causing a lot of consternation. And so, but it may be an opportunity for others who would like to remove material from that pit to get with the landowner, and get with Miss Renee, and get something filed. At the moment, there is no permission to take dirt out of that pit.
Okay.
That's all I need to say on that, and others present can take action as they see fit. Mr. President, item E is authority for the county administrator, Ms. Wanda Martin, to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Department of Finance and Administration on behalf of Rankin County regarding the use of appropriated funds from the Mississippi Legislature to construct Gutter Road Extension, also known as Florence Byron Parkway, and authority of the county administrator to execute all documents and do all things necessary to effect the purposes of the MOU. When you acted on this the last board meeting, we didn't indicate that it was a memorandum of understanding, and so we wanted to make clear that you're authorizing Ms. Wanda to execute the MOU on behalf of the board.
Okay.
We need to act
Please.
How'd that slip through?
to approve.
Okay.
Sorry.
Second.
we have a motion to approve by Jay, second by Bob. Any other discussion? And in simple terms, this gives us the authority to accept monies and work with the state to
That's
work on
correct.
this road.
Yes, sir.
The
So
state provided a bunch of money for
Right.
this, and we,
But we're not having to work with the state per se. We're
Well-
just taking the money.
That's correct. So how it's going to look, the logistics of this is the state legislature appropriated funding. If you add it all together over two different activities, they have appropriated $3.8 million to this project. $2.8 million from the special session in 18, another $1 million in 2019. Both of those funding appropriations go through the Department of Finance and Administration. And the process is that DFA requires us, the county, to enter into an MOU with DFA that basically says you're going to spend the money that we send to you for that project, and you're not going to spend it on something else. and you're going to keep it in a segregated account so that we can make sure that it gets spent on that project for those purposes that the legislature said, and you're going to spend it within a 24 to 36 month time frame. You're not going to just sit on it and hold it forever. Okay, so those are the essential terms of the MOU. And that's
Does
what-
it make any difference which money comes first? I mean, our money, MPO money, their money,
No,
we're
sir.
spending it?
It does not.
Okay.
We have the requirement of timeframes in both directions. Both the appropriation from the legislature is burdened with a time frame for expenditure, and our additional $334,000 is what we're estimating that the county's going to have to contribute to that project is also burdened, because those presumptively, we'll find this out shortly, hope, those will be spent from bond proceeds, which have their own time frame. So we will be required to spend all of that at about the same rate or level within a given time frame.
I guess
So-
it wouldn't hurt just to tell Wanda that she needs to make sure when she pays the bills, she's using the state money first to pay the bills, to make sure that because I know it takes a good while to build a road and get it all done and stuff like that. So
Yes.
that we don't run into a time situation with their money.
Yes, sir. Okay?
All right, we had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
If y'all will continue to work with me on item A under my section, Mr. President, we'll come back and we'll have Mr. Watson as soon as he's able to be with us.
Yes.
Okay.
Tell me loses a vote by each minute he's late.
I don't think he was gonna be in here at 10:30.
Yeah,
Well-
I'm the one that caused that. I didn't want him hanging around all morning.
Well, the crowd's thinning out pretty quick, so he's losing an opportunity fast.
You go get coffee.
Yep.
All right,
Ms. Martin?
looks like Wanda, you're up.
Okay. Item A, acceptance of fiscal year 19 HIDA subgrantee cooperative agreement and authority for the sheriff to execute documents.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Bob, second by Jared. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. Item B, discussion of and potential action on the authorization for AT&T to remove PRI voice circuit screening tables and the related activities at a one-time cost not to exceed $600, and authorization for the board president to execute associated agreements to the change.
Motion to approve.
We have a
Second.
motion.
Second.
Second, I don't know what it is. What is that?
Marcus couldn't be here this morning, but he said if he needed to discuss it with y'all further, we could table, but it's actually related to the outgoing caller ID function. And he said he could explain further later if you needed further, but he thought it's something that we needed to pursue.
All right. It's IT related,
It's high TV related.
so it's over my head. All right, Bob, did you make that motion before you did?
I
I thought
did.
so. Bob made a motion, you seconded it?
Yes.
All right, got a motion by Bob, second by Jay to, not to exceed $600 to remove this circuit screening table. I think Marcus has a lot more knowledge than I do, but I know he does, so I'm gonna vote on it. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion passes. C.
Okay. Authority to pay David Marr Jr. for Family Master Services for the months of July 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2019, and authority to issue check each month in the amount of $2,500.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion by Jay, second by myself. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. Authority to publish the public notice to conduct an open test of the Verity scanner and touch writer voting devices at the Rankin County Election Equipment Vault at 600 Marquette Road behind the Region 8 office in Brandon on August 2nd, 2019, beginning at 9 a.m. as it relates to the primary election to be held on August the 6th, 2019, and authority to publish the public notice to conduct an open test of the Verity scanner and touch writer voting devices at the Rankin County Election Equipment Vault at 600 Marquette Road behind Region 8 office in Brandon on Friday, August 23rd, 2019, beginning at 9 a.m. as it relates to the primary election runoff to be held on Tuesday, August 27th, 2019.
Motion approved.
Second.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Jay, second by Bob. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Additional business?
Craig, you want
I'll be glad to if, yeah. So the first item under additional business is discussion of and potential action to appoint to fill the unexpired term of Dean Scott for the District 5 Election Commissioner position. So y'all can discuss that and take potential action on that. And then authorization to conduct a special election for the District 5 Election Commissioner on the regular special election day, November 5, 2019, pursuant to 23-15-839.
Yeah, just to give you a little background here, y'all know we accepted his resignation.
Right.
And the election commissioners and the commissioner that just resigned had selected someone to fill in. And you know, we've always kind of had a policy of not appointing someone who's gonna run, but this situation is a little unique as somebody's gotta be trained how to do this in a very short period of time. They still run in November, and honestly, I was thinking about leaving it unfulfilled, but the Becky Boyd and Election Commission say they need somebody. So I don't think it's fair to send somebody up there to them to be trained just to do one election.
Give them an opportunity to pursue it.
Yeah, so, they recommend to have Chris Ebert fill the position, but he is planning on running.
Who is he?
Chris Ebert?
Huh?
He's,
Oh, okay.
yeah, gentleman sitting in the back. But, like I said, it's a little different.
Y'all don't tell me anything, so I just have to kind of figure it out myself, you know. So that's fine. I don't have a problem with it.
I think he'll do a good job. And honestly, I don't have anybody else who's inquired about it, so.
Well, they're welcome to run too.
Yeah, it's not gonna be long. They'll be
Right.
needing to
Make the
get-
motion.
All right,
All right, I make most of the point Chris Ebert as election commissioner.
Second.
all right. Jay makes a motion. Jared seconds it. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I finally remembered. It was on our agenda.
Thank you, sir.
Is this the same one you gave us last week?
No, sir.
No.
This is one that emailed
It is the
out.
one I emailed to you on Friday evening late. This is an update.
This is updated.
You need something?
I made a mathematical error the other day, and I wanted to let y'all know before we got into this discussion.
All right.
I said 7 million cash, 700.
Do what now?
What?
The other day in Bridge,
Uh-huh.
y'all asked how much cash we had.
Yes.
749,000, not 7 million.
We have $749,000 in the
Cash.
bridge account?
Cash.
Cash. That's not counting what's gonna come in.
Well, that's not counting the investment part of it and stuff like that. Y'all asked the other day how much we had in cash.
So, bottom line, what do we have in it?
17
17 what?
million.
Okay.
No, we have 10 million invested in 740 something, so 10,746,000.
Okay.
Something
Right.
like that.
Okay.
But I don't know what will be spent toward the end of this year.
Right.
But the cash part's low, but there is 10 million in investment.
So what you do is you take,
10 million's in
whenever it's
investment.
needed, you take
Whenever
money
it's
out
needed,
of
we can pull-
investment.
Right, it's
to
in
do
several
it,
different
okay.
places and it can be
All
pulled
right.
back.
But that's not counting what's coming in.
Okay.
But I wanted to get that correct
Which
Yeah.
is not much more will come in toward the
on
end
what
of
we
the
was
year.
thinking we had the other day.
No, I know,
Right.
but we
Yeah,
got
it's
coming in for next
$3
year.
million difference there, man.
I
Yeah.
understand. Well, no, it's a lot more.
6.
Yeah,
3 million.
yeah.
But you got
It's really-
17.
Mike didn't miss it by much.
It's going to cost
I guess
half
my
a,
math, he said we had 7 million, now we have 10,700,000.
yeah. Just keep, maybe if we come back in the 15th, we'll have 15.
Well, it's definitely growing.
That does. I like your investment opportunities there, Miss Laura.
When I came in, the stock market was up close to 300, so it may be a little
Yeah,
more.
maybe.
Yeah, that's helping.
We must be getting premiums.
The,
I'm gonna go ahead and
The-
cut
the
you
doc-
off right here, Craig. Just gonna stop it right here. 500,000 to line the pipes at Oak Grove?
I don't know. Where's
That's what y'all come up with?
That, no, sir, that is.
How'd you get that number?
Understand,
Second page,
that came
bottom
from your
second
lawyer.
page.
That's your lawyer. Let's start this way. You've got 2 pages. The first sheet has no changes. This is the document that originated from our May 15 discussion. You guys have consistently sort of camped out on the page 1 projects. And so there is no change on your page 1 documentation, okay? That's as it was as of May the 15th. Fast forward, we had another discussion on June 27th. You had above the subtotals that you see at the top part of the second page, you had additional projects that were provided to me from various sources, road department, consulting engineer, individual supervisors, and so you see a list that was created as of the discussion on June the 27th. I was making some educated guesses based on how the discussion went at the work meeting, and so what you'll find is interlineations through the various projects that my perception was there was not solid agreement about those projects. 2 of those original projects that were discussed at the work meeting, which are the qualifying projects for Supervisor District 5 and the Old Pearson Road Improvement Project, those 2 survived on the basis of my perception of agreement about those 2 projects being included as part of the bond issue. Okay? So that's why those 2 are not interlineated. And the estimated costs associated with both those projects are included in your new subtotal that's listed there, $24,763,800. At the bottom, the very bottom, is total lawyer editorial, and it is my best guess as to what I was observing as a part of the discussion from the work meeting. Okay, my best guess of projects that you guys may be interested in continuing to talk about and possibly including, and I'm being very careful with that so as to not to get ahead of anybody. You had a visit from your youth court judge who made a specific request for some help out there with respect to facility improvement. And so that estimated cost of $1.4 million is included, Rankin County Youth Court. We have continually discussed the watershed management program. The reason that that's back is because you guys specifically authorized a request for an AG opinion to determine whether or not the bond proceeds can be used for that. And so it's left on the list in light of the fact that we still have a pending AG request that's out. Okay, so that's why that's there. The flooding emergency is related primarily to the District 2 reservoir area and the recent flood events that we've had out there, and a discussion where you guys have already made a specific finding and authorized a study to be conducted. This is simply anticipating that if the study reveals that work will have to be done to correct and protect the roads, there's going to have to be expenditures for that. And so the thought process of putting that in here is you have the option of either using your road and bridge money or using bond proceeds. So it's sitting here if you want to use that. The Oak Grove Stormwater Project was I'm not fussing at Jay, but it showed up kind of late in the discussion, and it was unanticipated. And so it was I simply stuck this in here with a big number because everything about Oak Grove has seemed to be a big number for some reason. So that's why that's there. That may be nowhere near what a slip line project.
Yeah, do we have cost yet on fixing that?
I wasn't in the meeting when this came up, but I'm assuming this is what you're waiting on him to help before, Jay, is that
Yeah.
right? Yeah, it actually came in late Friday afternoon, and Chris is out of town, I got it this morning, and they priced, they quoted out, they just went in and quoted everything that JWB laid.
Jeez.
And it's broken down by pipe size, but the total's $248,886.
Yeah, that's much
Is
better.
that to replace everything?
That's to line everything.
The line.
That's the line.
To line everything. Now,
Well, the
they're
other
in-
option is to replace it.
And I know this is gonna shock you, but their replace everything is
What?
$297,639.
That did shock me.
Repeat that, those two numbers?
$297,639 to remove and relay everything that JWB
And the
did.
first number was?
And to line everything that's there is $248,886.
Really?
Why didn't they bid on the project?
Their
to
unit
begin
prices
with?
went up from
Because
the
we
original
paid
bid.
way more than that to have that pipe laid.
They did?
They did bid on the original.
Yeah.
They
What's-
were like third.
I don't
I mean,
know. I can't
They're-
understand
We
that.
paid like 3 times that much to get it laid down.
Say that again now?
Didn't we pay like 800,000?
Well, you
No, this
get
is not
paid
everything. This is, the JWB didn't finish. So this is just what they had done.
I know,
So-
but we've
put out that much.
already paid about
Yeah,
800,000.
that included some material
Right.
too, I'm sure.
Well, they're talking about new material to pull these up and put new down. I think that second figure.
300,000.
Is that new pipe?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously some work, and I don't know the details of it, because Chris is, wish Chris
I'm
was here, he's
shocked
out of
at
town.
the two.
But that's just for the pipe.
Wow.
Wait, what do you mean just for the pipe?
That's just removing and relaying pipe,
That pipe?
or
Well,
cured
slip
in
line is
place.
the same thing.
We know it's cured in
I mean,
place.
well, I know,
right.
yeah, I know, yeah.
So
Not
obviously,
slip line, yeah.
obviously Hemp Hill,
Go ahead and vote to replace all that.
obviously Hemp Hill
Yeah.
thinks slip line, and let me say this too. Replacing it, they're saying that the pipe has quite a bit of lead time if you replace it. And also, the inlets we can go ahead and install the inlets if it's gonna be cured in place. If it's gonna be relayed, you gotta wait till you get your pipe relayed to do your inlet.
Which
So-
means we gotta go dig it
I
all
don't
back
think
up,
those
do
people,
all those utilities
yeah,
in.
those people do not want us back in there digging it.
You wanna dig it up or you wanna line it?
So 250
Fine.
instead of 500
Yep.
is, of course,
Yep.
I was just trying to be as careful and safe as I could.
Sir,
Yeah, I'll let y'all decide that, cause like I said, if y'all decide to go the other route, I'm gonna quit, you know.
which route?
Digging
Dig it up, crap, to dig it up.
Dig
You
I think
wanna,
we
you
should.
wanna line it? You wanna line
You
it?
really, I mean, you're not,
Yeah,
you don't have,
I think we
you
got
don't
a
have an
choice.
opponent, and really the opponent should have come out of this subdivision.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
You know,
It
let's
would.
let's just stick it back to them, you know, and let's dig it all up.
Man,
you
I
know.
didn't, hey,
So if I can get you guys on the,
Hey, I wanna add this item to the agenda.
which one do you wanna do?
Wait now.
Oh, well, line it, 100%. I mean, it's cheaper.
That penny's cheaper.
You know, I may not get killed. Because, you know, those people, man,
Well, I will tell you, that slip line process is very unique. Not slip line, that lining that they do is very unique.
Well,
And
even
they
if
have,
we line it, we're still looking at a month before they can come in here and do it.
but
I
they
think.
don't tear up everything and they're gonna have to dig a hole to start. And, they're gonna have to access it. But it's amazing.
We have holes there now, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think
I'm just
we'll
saying,
have to do that.
it's a good product.
It's
They've
expensive.
done lines from, miles of lines from,
You say
The
you wanna
restaurant.
add it to the agenda to come out of Road and Bridge, or try to add it to the
I tell
bond
you what, I'll
list?
take it at 250 out of my million.
All right.
So we'll
Fair
scrap
enough.
adding any additional
That's awful,
funds.
awful
So-
generous. What are you gonna do with the rest of 750?
Go to
just,
Pearl.
just interlineate that one then, and we can do the math on it, but obviously it's gonna be less than the 30,163,000 that you see there. So, there is a description of your projects as laid out as I appreciate them as of this morning, okay?
Well, it kind of goes to show you I should not have let to go to see DirecTV on Thursday, because in the 5 minutes I left, Slay eviscerated District 3.
Well, I don't know. Jerry,
so-
you brought up this old Pearson Road deal, and
Well, Daniel, you know, he was for it, you know. That's what I got, that, you know, didn't I get that?
That was my impression, yes, sir.
Before we say, I mean, just to, on that Grants Ferry Parkway extension, are we having any movement with the city there? I mean, we're gonna.
Oh, the city's made the request.
But I mean, are they
Yeah.
lining up to
contributing
do?
any money to
Yeah,
it.
where's the
they-
money coming from?
Can they match with us or something, you think?
Yes, they had the initial environmental done 10 years ago, back in '08. But at that time, they were coming across the Richland Creek. Well, now they moved the bottom leg up to right by Southern Pine, so now they've got to redo that part of the environmental. But they got to make sure they got something viable to move on before he expends those funds to get Wagner to do the environmental. Our money goes to what I call the south leg, which is between Shiloh Road and Highway 18. That's a direct benefit. If I can get that done, then that pushes the north leg a lot sooner and a lot quicker. The city's going to take on to create this bypass, or whatever you want to call it. But that's kind of where we are with it. But yes, they don't have all the details of the monies yet because they got to get the environmental done. But are you really only looking at 2 right-of-way groups? You got Mr. Tiger as one, and you got Southern Pine as the other one, and supposedly the developers are working out a trade, so we probably won't have any expense on right-of-way. Don't know for sure on the south leg.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's a great benefit for District 3. There's also a benefit to District 4, coming out of the Shiloh Road area, And y'all have all along said, we'd love to do something for District 3, and I'm not pushing the fact that nothing's been done for District 3. But now is an opportunity to do something worthwhile for it. This is just like the Florence Byron Parkway. This is alleviating traffic into Brandon and pushing it to the east part of to the interstate. We have a TIF out there on the Grants Ferry TIF that's going to help with the development out there. As more traffic can get out there, the more commercial is going to want to locate in that area. That helps us as well through the TIF and getting that land developed. It's a great opportunity. I'm willing to put some caveats to it if y'all want to. I mean, if you want to wait, give it a year. And if the city hadn't met certain thresholds, and we can pull it back, or if they haven't gone off their rear end and done some things to keep this thing moving. And
Bob, the only problem with that is we're going to have to take the money down now.
Is it in the city?
Well, I mean, it's like Civil Link. Civil Link's going to get a $5 billion takedown, but we're not going to spend it until over the next 3 years.
Yeah, I ain't crazy about that either.
Yeah, well, I know you don't like that one either.
So, an idea, just for consideration purposes, is to enter into some sort of agreement with the city. You would have the option to simply commit some level of funding to the project and write them a check. And that's how you would eliminate an entanglement to spend the money in a particular time frame or to oversee some aspect of the project. Just let this be a City of Brandon project.
Is this in city limits?
It's in the city limits.
What I see is right now, or 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock, if you go out here and get on Highway 80, you nearly have a wreck every time. I mean, it's just congested. People are having to come through Brandon to get down here to the exit. I don't know if they just don't know that there's one down that way or not, but they come up 18 and through Brandon. They can't go to the west and get on, if they go around Highway 18 to where the Ford dealership is and stuff, because that's already backed up over there. It's so congested. This bypasses our parkway would bring people, they could come from the Puckett area, those subdivisions south of Brandon, hit that exit, and within 2 minutes be at the exit ramp on the east side of Brandon and help with, I don't look at it as whether it's District 3 or 4. There's people that drive from all of our districts right around inner city of Brandon, and everybody, everybody knows there's got to be something done to help this congestion, because homes are continuing to be built and the problem's getting worse. But I don't know how we go about it.
And for the record, this board passed a resolution in 2008 to support this project.
Yeah, that's because they were going to Washington to receive
Well, they
funds.
were. They got
It ain't
$750,000.
That's the catch. Every time we do something like that, you come out, oh, y'all voted supported.
Well,
we supported the idea that we're going to get some money for it.
Well, I can't help the fact that Washington didn't back that. I would love to see Washington write a whole check on this thing.
Well, the TIF we did, though, Bob, was on the other side, right?
Uh-huh.
We did the north side of 80, not the south side.
I think so.
That's the TIF. Yeah, the TIF is the TIF.
That thing was the TIF is on the north side of it.
Yeah,
That's
right, right.
We're coming in, but the reason to push it, an additional use is the more traffic you can push to that interstate intersection, the opportunity, then that's when the commercial folks start paying attention, that you've got a traffic count there to justify commercial tops coming in.
Yeah.
You know, if you can push that
Did they
traffic
ever
up
build
there.
anything out there?
Huh?
Well, they got some of the lots are sold.
No, they were supposed to have some commercial building there.
Hadn't yet. Polk Discount
I
Drugs, I
think you're-
believe, is bought a corner out there, if they hadn't done anything yet. And they're still working, but it just needs to be more traffic, and this is an opportunity to do that, not to mention the fact that there's
You said there wasn't much right of way to acquire. Did the same developers on the south side also?
No.
They don't?
Well, you've got on the, let's correct here. Grants Ferry Group have property in between Shiloh Road and the interstate, along with Freddie Harrell and Tommy Kennedy and Terry Thornton. Terry Tigert and Southern Pine have it on south of Shiloh Road. The intention is, my intention is on the south side, and I have double check on Mr. Tiger, but I know the developer's trying to trade with Southern Pine. Grants Ferry Group's trying to trade with Southern Pine. Southern Pine wants to site up in their area to put a new substation, so they're talking about maybe swapping. Sorry.
You're picking it up bad.
I know Brandon did some preliminary work. They've spent, they've received, I think, like $1 million, and that might have paid for the.
$750.
Okay, well, that might have paid for the environmental.
They did.
So have they put any number to this yet?
But so they haven't yet because
On
they
their
haven't-
route, the initial route.
This route, no, because they've got to go back and redo the environmental. What they're looking from us is to see if we have a commitment to play. If we have a commitment to play, they'll take it to the next level. And that's why I'm willing to tell Mr. Slay we can give it to, July 1 of next year, and then, I don't know, however he wants to do the deal. And if they haven't progressed, or if it's something comes up that says, that blows the project out of the water from a financial standpoint, we still have time within our 3-year window to put that money elsewhere. There's always going to be something this county's going to need.
Oh, without a doubt, the longer we take to do this, we're steadily adding projects.
Well, I'm happy to play it. Well, I'm happy to bring it to a head. But I do think, and I have not brought up anything out of District 3 in this area that has been a waste of time, a waste of money, a waste of ideas. And I really would appreciate giving the opportunity to get this thing moving and see if something can happen. If
But
it doesn't,
you don't know what the total cost
I
is
do
gonna
not,
be.
because they won't know until the environmental gets done.
No, I mean, the initial, when they did their first
Oh, well,
one.
the initial was they were going through Richland Creek and it was going to impact floodways, and that's a
So
whole
they were
different ballgame.
Yeah.
They're staying out of the floodways now. That's why they moved the road up to the other side of Southern Pine on Lewis Wilson.
So is this something, last time I talked to the mayor about this, this was not priority for him.
It was not priority until we had the opportunity for us to make the contribution. It's just on the city, sure, because he's got other things he's working, but he thinks with our contribution, he can get this deal done. And I'm gonna put it to him. And if we approve it, I'm gonna say, hey, Craig and I'll work it up, but you've got X amount of time to do something. If you don't, you lose it. I think that's a fair opportunity for him, Not gonna sit around forever and a day. It's not fair to the board, it's not fair to the other folks in the county.
I would really like for you guys to seriously consider making this an arrangement whereby, as long as they meet certain requirements, they being the city, that are set forth in the interlocal agreement, then and only then, once those contingencies are met, that whatever funding the county, what you guys can agree to as a contribution from the county, that will just simply be tendered to them to be responsible for.
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I would consider it a lot more if we had a commitment ready. If they would give us something saying they're gonna move forward with this, because I don't wanna just take down extra $2.5 million and it not go through, and then have $2 million that we need to spend somewhere else that is not necessarily a priority. We got plenty of wants, but
And like
some of our
me-
needs are not.
And like me, then, you're happy at 24.5. Granted, there's $5.5 million difference between the two numbers, but if somebody's upset with the county borrowing money, they're gonna be upset with you at 24.5 as opposed to 30.
No,
So,
that's not it, Bob. It's the fact that I know we got some real issues coming our next year,
And where's that money gonna come from?
Exactly.
But that's what I'm talking about. If you
Well-
if you go to the full 30, that gives you from 25. That gives you another $8 million to work with on projects that do come up. If you think you're going to go back out in the market next year and pick up the extra $5 or $8 million from this millage, you're right, you're not. So, I mean, I don't understand your mindset that you're willing to chop it off here because it's the same amount of millage. If it's a $25 million issuance amount, we're still pledging the same amount of millage. The only downside is, not downside, the only other side is that it's a little, it pays off a little bit sooner. Is that kind of, Laura, is that kind of my understanding?
What you mean?
The 25, if you get 25 on the 15, it gets paid off a little bit sooner?
Not sooner.
We were told by Steve Eds and Lynn that it's the same amount of debt service regardless of the face amount.
No, that's not right. They didn't say that.
I wasn't
That didn't
here.
sound right to me either.
No.
I wasn't here during all of that, but what I understand is it's the same amount of millage, but what that has had to be done is Lynn's had to structure it where it's back end loaded so that as other debt pays off, then there's the money to
That's
pay
right.
this higher amount.
That's
at
right.
the
That's
end.
right. Sure was,
It was
Bob.
gonna be 8 years, I believe, at the 16 million, but now I think it's pushed out to
15?
15 years.
That's what the investors
So
want to
you've
get this
doubled
face
your
amount.
time when you've gone from the 16 to the 25, just about. And something else I'll bring up, I'll throw in my 2 cents worth. The amount you're talking about, we just did a $25 million bond. We built 2 buildings, basically. Okay, we're gonna be able to hit the 85% within 3 years. That's just 2 buildings. When you're talking about all these road projects and what's contained within here, your weather's even more of a factor than it is for that building, because now they can work inside. When we had our previous bonds, 08 and 09, that were basically for road projects, we were really hitting our mark at getting that money spent. It's just my opinion, you're gonna have an extremely hard time meeting 85% of this money spent within 3 years.
Yep.
It is gonna be very difficult. Now, I don't know, Sue, if I can shed some light. Many years ago in 08 and 09, was it a different percentage, a different time frame? Because after that, all those regulations came in?
No, this is that.
Okay, but we had a really hard time back then getting that money spent. And you're talking, I think that was we did 20.
40
Right.
million.
But we had.
One of those was the was the youth
was
court
the
facility.
youth court, right, so
So
that took.
about a quarter of that
Yeah.
bond issuance was a building.
And then we
Right.
gave some to the school, for their big building
Old
also.
Old Fannin Road
Yes, Old
was a
Fannin was in
significant
that
part of
too.
that.
So,
Mm-hmm. Old Fannin
those
is a
were
big
some
part
really
of
big
it.
that took large chunks out. When you're talking this many projects, this is just my opinion.
Thanks for raining
Well-
our parade there, Laura.
In that, would
What did we
that
invite you back for?
I don't know.
be, hey, Bob, in that, with what you're talking about for Brandon, wouldn't that create a potential problem since they're really hadn't got anything moving on it?
Well, it's not that long of a road. I mean, it's not that.
No, I'm just
I mean,
wondering, because they
they've
ain't got
got something
anything
moving on it.
moving.
They've got the environmental done, and that takes forever and a day
How long
to
is the
do.
road? How
So, I
long
mean,
is
to
it?
modify it, to get the lower leg, huh?
How long is it?
Well, I have to measure it, but it can't be more than a 3/4 of a mile between Shiloh Road and Lewis Wilson,
Let
It's
me
not that long of a
interject.
road.
Let me interject this.
Yeah.
If we offload, say, 2.5 to the city of Brandon under an interlocal, we've cleared our obligation to spend the funds. Brandon does not have an obligation to spend it within 3 years. It's us. We're the issuer. So that's one of the reasons why I was making that suggestion, was to expend the money under the interlocal and clear our obligation to have it spent within the 3 years.
Yeah, but what if it's not spent, then we bring it back?
No,
Well, Craig is
It's
saying, let's
spent.
go ahead and give it to them right now.
it's spent. What I'm saying is, you put an interlocal in place that has all the caveats in it. You make them meet all of the preconditions, and then you've got 3 years for those conditions to go until we release it. As long as we release the funds within the 3 years, we've spent it.
Yeah, I understand that, but
That's
if
my-
they hadn't spent it, it's kinda like we still put it out there.
Yeah. So
bad idea.
And I wouldn't even, and I would not even ask to put something, I know what you're heading to on the putting in the city of Brandon, and I wouldn't even ask if District 3, the folks down on 18 and Puckett and Cato and that bunch down there would not derive a huge benefit by
I get
getting
it.
that.
I do, and I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying I don't want to carry the load. You know,
I mean, what
all
load?
other projects we've done, even in the West Rankin and the East Metro, we committed some money to it,
Yeah.
but there's a heck of a lot more committed from the municipalities.
Well, in West Rankin, we basically
Well,
just
I
did
mean,
the
they
bridge.
are. They're building.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
They're
So-
building the north part of the road from Shiloh to interstate. We're doing. I mean, our contribution's going to the south end of that leg.
Yeah,
That was-
what he's talking about, we committed.
Yeah, I get that. I get
A
what you're
bridge
talking
or
about.
culvert
Yeah.
and that kind of thing,
You know.
not the whole.
And I'm happy between now and the 15th to get something from the city, that spells out what they're willing to do. They have a meeting tonight. I'm happy to go to that meeting
Yeah.
and ask for them to do that,
They need
and
to put
get
some
that.
commitment to it. And
I mean-
if they'll do it in writing, that.
What are you looking for then? I don't want to go get a commitment and you're not happy with the commitment.
I want some 50-50 partnership here.
Money.
You know, or at least if we're going to put in
That's
this
what he's
money,
saying.
they're going to match us minimum. You know.
Well, they're going to have to match us on the north side of the road.
Well, I'm talking about
No.
the south side, because
Well, no,
the
this
north
is
side, I ain't
continuous.
so sure the developers,
This
they've
project
already
doesn't
built
work.
some of it.
Well, this project doesn't work. It just goes from Lewis
He's not
Wilson to
talking
Shiloh.
about- he's not talking
I mean, this-
about north
If
of
you can't,
20.
if you can't
I
have
guess
the
that's
whole
what he's saying,
project.
though, is they're gonna, we don't know a figure on it. I
Right.
think what
Yeah,
he's
I
saying,
get
let's
that,
say it was
but I'm
$4 million,
not
they do two and
Oh,
two.
this is not one solid road?
He's talking about, you're talking about everything really is south of 20.
Well, I'm talking about what's south of Shiloh to Lewis Wilson.
Yeah.
The city's going to be responsible for what is
North
north from
of-
Lewis Wilson
Oh, I
or
thought
Shiloh
you was
up
talking
to.
about everything north of 80, like that section.
That's
of-
already built.
I know, that's what I'm saying, the developer did that, and that's.
He's
where we-
talking about south of 80
We're
back,
south of Interstate 20. You got
but
two
still don't know what
legs.
it's gonna cost.
You got two legs. You get in between Interstate and Shiloh Road. That's the north leg. And you got the south leg, which is between Shiloh Road and Lewis Wilson. Would come in there right by Southern Pine is where it would come in to do a turnabout right there. This money would be dedicated to the south end of that leg.
Well, if I gave any, I want to go for the whole thing, 'cause I want somebody coming back asking for more money, when they
You
get
say
ready
no.
to
I
address
mean, and
those.
that can be an understanding. This is our once and only contribution.
Yeah, but
It does no good. It does
I'd
no
like
good.
to know what the cost is gonna be.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I don't
that's-
even have a vague idea.
Well, I mean, they have built, Grants Ferry folks have built the Grants Ferry Parkway between Trickle Bridge.
Right.
So they've kind of used that number.
As far as
and
they've
the-
gotten anyway.
Huh?
Well, they hadn't finished it.
As far as
Well,
they
they're
got,
getting ready
the
to.
section-
Actually, the
section
city
that-
has
They've had some
condemned it.
legal things, with that property.
Whitley.
Yep.
Yeah.
But they're getting there too. I mean, they're,
But what I'm willing to do is, is that I know they're gonna have to spend more than $2.5 million, total to go from Lewis Wilson up to Interstate 20. I know. And that's
Well,
the
no,
whole project.
I know that they're gonna spend money, but I want a commitment that they're gonna follow through with this. I don't wanna build one leg and it sit there 5 years, until they decide to go get some more money or this is a priority for them.
So,
That's when I want a commitment from them. This is priority. We're gonna go from 80 to 18. Or Lewis Wilson,
and what do you want them to say?
that they're going to, within so many years that they're ready to move forward with it. Well, I know they can't do, I think they'll have a hard time building this section in 3, much less the other, but,
Well, they don't have to build it in 3, according to Craig.
right, I'm just saying though, but they don't have it 2 more years left on their term anyway. They all come up for election. So unless they move forward with it right now, they can't commit anything to us that's gonna mean anything.
I didn't think about that. That's a good point. I didn't think that at all. I
But
forget
that's
their-
really I just want some commitment, that they're serious about it, they just not come wanting us to fund their project for them,
So help me out, Craig. What can I ask from a commitment standpoint that would satisfy Mr. Bishop? You got what the number I have.
It seems to me, what y'all got to get squared up on what your amount of commitment is going to
Right.
be regardless. So I think you got to start there. Is that number 2 million? Is
Well, I
it 2.5
think 2.5 million, build that whole road you're talking about.
Well, it
It's
might.
less
I
than a
don't know.
mile.
I mean, it
No.
might.
He's talking about one part of it. It's
That's
about-
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that section, I'm almost
build
thinking
the whole
mine.
thing.
Well, no, the whole, you.
If
the
you
whole
says
thing-
3/4 of a mile long,
Yeah, I have to measure it on the map.
okay, if it's 3/4 of a mile long, I would think that would build the whole road.
Well, you gotta build it up something, some of it is in the floodplain, so I mean, you might have to
It's
start
less than a
one,
mile.
you know.
We can't spend $3 million on 1 mile road to.
No, but he's talking about the section that the south section
Right.
is about a mile.
No, is it
That's
3/4 of a
what-
mile,
There's
3/4,
another.
yeah.
Okay.
He's saying 3/4 of a mile is what,
Give me a second, I'll measure that.
I'm just saying that 2.5 million should build that road.
I think so too.
Build the south
I'm
leg
not,
of it.
I'm
I
not
think it'd
down,
build the
I'm not
whole
in
thing.
construction, but I'm saying there's an additional cost on the north side of the road that we're not involved in.
Right.
I know, but I'm saying, I think he's right. I'd be shocked if 2.5 million won't build the whole,
Will
is
not
it
build the
2-lane
whole-
road? 2-lane road?
Yeah, 2-lane road.
I would think it'd build the whole road, 3/4 of a mile.
But I'm happy to
Maybe
go.
some
to-
less.
I get it, you want something for your district, and I've been telling you for a couple of years.
Well,
you
it's
need to
finally
get
come
on the-
up.
You know.
I mean, we've been able to provide a funding. You know, if it wasn't for this, we wouldn't be talking about Andrew Chapel or even even Gunner Road either. So, I mean.
We've
it's
been
an oppor-
talking about it, just
Well,
not
yeah,
very
we've been
well.
talking about it, but,
Yeah, about 10
yeah, I
years.
mean,
Yeah. So,
I mean, I have been supportive of other y'all's decision in other districts.
and I want to
I'm
be
not,
supportive
I'm not
of you.
saying, I just, if we don't have any specifics. What I'm saying, 2.5 million, I think what he's saying, well, I know, if you need to know a dollar, we kinda knew a dollar on these others.
Yeah, I
right
mean,
now.
I have no problem, you know,
I mean, it may not take but 1.5 million.
but let's style something, Craig. Well, Craig's right. We got to decide either on $25 million, $30 million issues. Okay, but let's just say for the instance on this, from a contingencies, not a contingencies, that I know probably by the 15th, Wagner can probably come up with some numbers, you know, for the city. You know that they've been doing all the engineering work, you know, on it, and let's see. But I mean, I know you want to put this to bed today, you know, so your desire, correct? Put it to bed.
Well, just from a timing standpoint,
We keep infringing upon the market.
the big issue for us is that we have estimates about our issuance. These are estimates related to things like the premium amount, the interest rate, that are on a little bit of a trigger here. And the timing of this has been in that August time frame. And my concern is that if we continue to delay decisions that relate to the issue of the total amount of the issuance until the middle of July, our window for our estimates could close. So that's our number one issue as far as timing is concerned. But I understand that we don't want to make decisions hastily. I get that. We certainly don't want to make a commitment on a project where our commitment ends up being 75% of the total cost. That doesn't sound like a partnership, or a good one anyway. So I get that. But my thought right now is to talk about this in terms of all of the projects that are sort of under discussion at this point, and then maybe back into what we think a reasonable best circumstance is for the total amount of the issuance. So if we just sort of assign a value of around a couple of $1 million, Bob, to that particular project, what I'll call the south leg, and then look at these other projects that are listed here.
What is the issuance cost on 25 million?
Let's see.
I don't know what Lynn has been, is he got a gross number for you?
Well, he had told us before it was 600,000, but I was thinking that was on less money.
What's the question again?
Issuance cost, issuance cost. What's that?
The number was 750.
750.
Yes, sir, on the 25 million. Yes, sir. I'm looking at the pro forma now. The issuance costs on a $30 million is just shy of 900. And the midpoint, obviously, a $28 million issuance, which we hadn't talked a lot about, but he had that on the sheet, sir.
Let me get 800.
It's in the neighborhood of 800, yes, sir. You know math pretty well, don't you? So in that neighborhood, and 28's it's not a number we've talked a lot about. It is an interesting number to consider because it will yield. The reason that Lynn came up with that is that the yield in the current bond market should be close to that $30 million number. In other words, you kind of thinking maybe 30 is your number. You can get there in the bond market by issuing 28. That makes sense?
It's hard to understand, but yes, from what we've been learning, yes.
Do we not need to discuss at least Judge Broom's request?
I put it on the list for discussion, hoping that you guys would give it consideration.
To me, it's just like the JP court and the Chancery court. It's a people's court. As the population continues to grow, his demand for space is going to continue to grow. You know, maybe it's an actual need today, maybe not. Maybe a year or 2 or 3 from now, then it will. You know, who knows what the financial situation will be if the cash will be available to do something.
It's not as immediate right now, I guess.
But it still goes back to the fact that if you've got the bonding capacity, and you're not talking about issuing no more than 30, and if you got the money there,
No, I understand. I'm just saying, he kind of came up when he saw the bond.
I mean, what happens 3 years from now? He comes in and gets court ordered that, oh, you've got to expand your space out there.
We go move in a couple portable buildings. That's kind of my thinking, you know. I still can't believe that us housing all those other kids doesn't have impact on our staff, you know,
Well,
and
that's
the
the
amount of
key.
space needed.
They're not housing. They're moving away from detention. I mean, you got that when they're.
No, I mean, but I think over half of what's in there now are from out of Rankin County.
Yeah, by the time,
I think what you'll find is that the reimbursement from the counties that house those kids covers all of your extra costs associated with that, Jay?
I don't think so.
I think it does.
Because we're about to have to add another building.
well, that's not for withholding them. That's for education.
That's what I'm saying, though. If we didn't have them, we wouldn't need more education space.
Well, I don't think that's them. I got the impression he's talking about our folks.
That's what I understood.
He's talking about he himself, for his Rankin County kids, not putting them in detention. They're going this education route and trying to use the school district to help them try to educate the other. I'm not trying to defend it, but I'm just saying if he's a need, you know, and we got the money today. I mean, good Lord, I mean, we struggle enough to do big projects around here, you know, without having to come out of cash, you know.
Yeah.
So, I would be in favor of at least getting him back in here if we, you know, if we can. Or
We really don't even have a true cost on it either, do we?
We just gave estimates, Jared.
It's got a concrete pad out there and an overhang, I think. So they would build all that off of that. That was all built to detention specs, which is far exceeds what you need for all regular office and classroom space.
We basically assigned in the neighborhood 250 a foot on the amount of square footage that he estimated that he needed, about 5,000 extra square foot. So we put basically 250 to 270 a foot. I think that's adequate for the type of space that I heard.
I don't know, it was last minute, and it's hard for me to bend that quickly. You know, we had a portable building in our old facility, but Bob, we just spent $10 million building that thing, man, and it ain't even been 10 years yet. 8 years, matter of fact. So I have a real problem putting more money down there.
It's a population-based court, though. I mean, that too. But I get it. I mean, that's fine. I mean, y'all don't want to.
It's not that I don't want to support our youth court. It's just that I think we can support it a little more economical, like portable buildings.
Okay.
Well, let's ask this question before we. And I know you want to nail this down, Craig. Ask him, does portables work? I mean, can you based on his footprint out there, based on the layout, does portable in the security aspect, does portables work? You know, I mean, that's not what he wants. I know.
I'd love to hear that answer.
And be sure and tell him Jay made that.
Yeah. I'm sure he's watching it. Yeah.
When the Pearl Youth Court closed, did that have a big impact on him?
No, we already had those kids out there already. They held court, Pearl
Right.
held court
But
out
the
there.
kids,
The kids were already there,
Right.
you know, so.
That was some of the issues of the
There's
state
more
there.
workload on him personally because now he hears all those cases,
Uh-huh.
you know? But those kids were already going out there.
And maybe a small impact on storage. All of the youth court files had to be transferred out there, and those have been housed inside the city of Pearl. So,
Which I think, didn't he move a building out there? You
yeah,
said,
it
or
was
something,
a
18-wheeler or
significant
something?
amount of files.
Why can't he go digitize?
Scan them, you would think, huh?
That's what I thought when he said that the other day.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure what the
State laws are.
AOC rules are with respect to youth court files.
Because I guess we feel like we got enough money in bridge to cover the bridge components. Don't need to.
I think so.
What about really who declared this road emergency? I didn't realize we created a finding on that stuff up there. I thought we just agreed to
Just for the
do a
purpose of the study, Bob. Don't forget that as the study was being undertaken, there was a need to get on private property to do so. So the finding was necessary for the board to say the purpose of their accessing private property to do the study is to protect the road.
Craig, how come
Yeah,
we
that's
can't
also-
use, you know,
Seems like he's
in my mind,
maneuvering
the
around.
initial million for creating the drainage district was to basically paperwork. But anything above that would actually go toward a project.
Yeah, well, I don't know how much of the above that would actually make its way to a project as such, Jay. And that's part of the reason why we really need to get some clarity and why we want to ask for the AG opinion. Because my sense is that not all of that additional over and above would actually find its way into an on-the-ground project.
Yeah,
There's
and if
much
we-
of
right.
There's much of that that is watershed plan creation. There's a lot of that has to go on in addition to figuring out what is the structure that we're going to use, i.e., are we going to create a district? What's that going to look like? How does that legally get done? What are the potential objections to that? There's a lot of that kind of ground plowing right there that has to be done that's more in the nature of planning. Again, why we need the AG opinion on that. And then secondarily to that, we haven't even agreed as such, I don't think, we haven't gotten to a point where we understand, well, what in addition to the initial seed money are we intending to put there? There's been some numbers talked about there. It sits right there in front of you, 2 million, right?
Wow.
But there's no agreement on that.
Yeah. But I thought that we were going to take the surplus and put toward that
Yes, sir.
premium.
premium.
Yes, well, the suggestion was if you could commit the surplus, the premium money, the free money, as it were, you could commit that to that particular project. That made sense because it didn't impact, you weren't expecting to get it, and it didn't impact actual projects that you were looking at the underlying issuance on.
Right.
That was just an idea that we had as a way to sort of earmark, if you will, the premium amount. We think the premium amount, again, it's all going to be based on what y'all ultimately decide to issue. But we think the premium amount is going to be in the neighborhood of a couple of million, which is why it was assigned a couple of million. That's how we got there.
Right.
But there's been no, from what I understand from just listening to how y'all are communicating about this, there's been no agreement that you're going to assign those dollars to that project. We just talked about it.
Yeah.
So we need some direction on that.
Well,
We
that's
need some-
also back to, we're talking about the timing and spending it. If we don't,
Yeah, you
we
think
may
road
not can even
project,
put it there.
you think road projects take time? This is like a drainage project takes twice as long as a road project. I mean, I just.
And we're not even sure we could even spend it there.
You've got
I'd love to do it. Federal road, baby.
you've got a
Very good
watershed.
line.
Fed rocks and county rocks, you know.
You've got a watershed plan that has been presented to you.
Yes.
That has timeframes already spelled out in it. And what you've got is a 5-year implementation plan that's in front of you. The first year is the whole notion of district or other entity creation. That's the first year. The second year is development of watershed plans. And the third year is getting after particular projects.
You won't ever get spent then. Wow. Wow.
Some of that can take place concurrently. It doesn't mean we wait an entire year before we're developing watershed
What
plans.
if we, and if this is against the law, be sure to omit this from the video, Janice. What if we agree to do the $3.5 million and that, well, we can't take $3 million out of bridge, culverts, not bring the bridge fund and move it over to that?
No, don't even talk like that.
But if we can't do it,
I would love to do it, don't get me wrong, 'cause I think
I'm
that's
just
the big
saying,
white
that if
elephant
we can't
coming.
do it, there's another way to skin that cat, I'm sure, you know, because we just assign more road projects or building to take up that $3 million.
The whole idea behind a commitment of specific dollars, especially those coming out of the bond proceeds to this particular project, is how that is able then to be presented to our federal partners. And where you can clearly identify specific dollars committed to that purpose, we believe, your professionals believe that makes a big difference in DC. So there's more to this suggestion and the possibility of this investment than just what is that going to look like on the ground here. You can see there's a lot more involved there. This Rankin County cannot and will not be able to tackle this drainage issue by itself. Cannot happen.
No.
We cannot do it.
And
So
we
we gotta have help. And incentivizing the help is part of, it's part of what is behind this recommendation. So please keep that in mind as you're walking through these projects. I realize it's hard.
So how did we say we were going to solve it then? I mean, for putting money into the drainage fund, how did we say we were going to do
If we
it?
can't do it, we just take whatever we were gonna spend and spend it out of the road and bridge.
When you
What?
say if we can't do it,
We, as long as we all agree that we're gonna commit $3 million toward this project. All right?
project?
And so.
What
you know,
project?
what project? You talking about just the water?
Yeah,
Water, the
Where did we get up to
district?
3 million? Thought we-
we've already committed to one,
And you're talking about the two
Well,
more?
and
We
then
had
the
two other in
premium,
there.
Okay,
would be.
the one is actually our research monies and we've got to do
It's
some
a fund,
things.
it's an initial funding amount.
You talking about
It's an initial funding.
pretty much our premium. Is that
Well,
what
it's
you're
just something
saying?
that'll show we're serious. Greg wants to bump it up to
Pretty
3.
much.
He thinks 3 versus 1 gets better attention in DC.
I don't know about that.
And it wouldn't take you 1 year to go through 3 million in drainage.
I don't know about that. That's opening the door for spending we may not even see anything back out of.
Oh, I definitely wouldn't be spending that kind of money without getting some projects.
I know, but that's back to that, there's no guarantee.
Well,
You spend a whole
and-
lot of money and
It's never been suggested, by the way, that taking the additional premium money would not result in some sort of projects. I mean, clearly, we're just looking for the watershed plan development piece of this. And that includes some projects that right now don't need very much planning. They're already essentially ready to be finalized and implemented. They're already there. They're in your watershed management plan. It was handed to you, by the way.
Which projects?
There's several
I mean,
projects.
I know they identified projects that
Yes.
need to be done, but
There's
I didn't realize
probably-
we'd done any engineering work on them.
No, we haven't.
No. No,
they
that
got
would,
projects though, they listed
I think what
projects
Greg
down
was saying,
in
we have plenty of
District
opportunities
1
to
is not,
spend it.
Oh, yeah, no
that ain't
doubt.
gonna happen.
yeah.
It's not
There's,
gonna happen down there.
there's several that are in there. Mill Creek is an example of one.
Look, Richmond Creek, you know, that's huge.
Oh, good
you know.
Lord.
Yeah.
Some
I'm so
areas
damn
down
tired
in
of hearing
District
Rich
1.
Mill Creek,
So they're there, and
You take
those
Richmond
are,
Creek, that's why Pearl floods. a lot of that.
Yep.
Those projects are
That's a
capable
huge-
of
That's
being.
what I'm
that would
saying,
be-
so I mean,
It's a watershed that you don't want to hear this, and the county should take over. And
Boy,
guess probably will
sure
if we
wish
create a
you was
I
running
countywide
mean, when
district.
Pearl flooded, that was, you know, think about it, when Pearl flooded,
Where are
that
y'all?
was
Hey.
more vast than anywhere else.
Trey's back there. Where are y'all in this formation process of the drainage district? Y'all still just spending money or actually doing any work?
We ain't gave it to them yet.
Huh?
We ain't gave it to them yet.
We gave them up to 50 grand to spend some money.
Oh, well, I mean,
I just got a plane ticket.
Here's the
No,
book
man,
if anybody wants to take a look at it.
Not gonna-
I have one.
What, when we met with Joe and those guys, what they asked us to do, what they thought would be most helpful, that's what we're doing right now, is letting them know what are the.
He doesn't want to
current-
get too close to the
No, that's right.
microphone.
Or what they want to know, I mean, there are, as y'all know, some current state statutes for water districts. So the first thing we've got to do is figure out, are we going to need some new legislation? And that's big, and that's from a timing standpoint, are we going to need to go to the legislature next year and ask for some specific legislation? And the answer to that is right now, we don't know that. So what we're doing is we're looking right now, using that initial little money that y'all gave us, we're analyzing what's the current landscape of Mississippi law. What we're doing exactly has not been done, a county-wide system like this. So we're looking to see, do we have the current law in place to make this happen? And part of that process, as we talked about, is looking to see how it's been done in some other places and comparing what we have now already with what, for example, they have in Texas, what they have in Virginia, that Mr. Joe Wagner likes so much. And he really wants to look at, what do we got in Mississippi? What do they have out there? What do we need to add to it to get where we need to go? And do we need more legislation? I talked to Kyle about it this morning, and he's going to put out that memo probably in the next day or two. He thinks that we're probably going to need some legislation, probably some sort of local and private legislation to get it done. So that's where that is, but that is the very initial stage of figuring out what do we have in Mississippi to work with. What do we need? But I mean, it's a process of going and talking to these other water districts that are in place now. I mean, we got to make sure jurisdictionally that we don't tread over into these other water districts and other things around the state and the county. Make sure that we don't get crossways with them, which is an important part of this initial process. I mean, all of that takes, and that's going to be a team effort with Joe and those guys, and that just takes time and effort. I mean, it's a complicated process. It really is.
So what you're talking about doing then, as far as the bond money, we're still back on that, is to identify drainage projects in our study and make those part of the bond project, assuming that we get AG opinion that is satisfactory for the bond council to move
Yes.
forward on.
That's exactly right.
but even if we can't get it to include,
Okay.
we can still do it.
All right, and now explain to me how we're gonna do that.
Like I said, as long as all of us agree that we're willing to spend this X amount of dollars put into it, and
Where's
just
that money
rather
going to come from?
the road and replace this 3 million with 3 million that we're going to spend out of road.
How do you do that?
Projects.
But you don't have to do the projects?
Yes.
So I mean, essentially, we still come out of cash then, right?
Yes.
But
That's right.
No.
But you take the premium money,
Oh,
and you would replace.
You're referring to the premium money is what you're talking about there.
Well, what we're saying is if the AG does not give us a favorable opinion and says, we just don't feel like we can use bond proceeds to do drainage implementation study and plan, then I think what Jay is suggesting is, well, we've got some money over here.
Yeah.
We got some premium. So since we can't use premium for that, we
Right.
can take road and bridge money.
Yeah, real easy. This
Put it
$3.5
over
million
here,
we're
and then
scratching
replace it.
this bridge components. we just put it back in there, and instead we'll spend the 3 million out of road to go toward the drainage.
You just move it over to a different end.
You're just swapping.
The key is how can we use the bond proceeds? And so this whole thing is, if we get clearance to use the bond proceeds to do drainage stuff, that's what we'll do.
So you're gonna take the jail time for me?
That's why we're going to the AG, so that that's not on the table.
If the AG approves it, then that's not an issue.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That's-
If we get a good opinion, sure, I get that. I'm just trying to figure out if we don't get that good opinion.
Jay has a backup plan. That's
I
what
don't
he's
know
telling
about
me.
That even scares me more that
It
Jay
does.
has
I'm
originated.
not so sure about that either. I'm not clear on that one.
Just trade
Well, I mean,
one
but-
set of money for another.
But you, yeah, I get that, but I'm still, I'm just, I guess.
We have all these bridges we have to fix.
That's $3.5 million worth.
All right, so
We gotta-
we're not gonna do it in the bond issue. We're
Right.
not planning on it.
Right.
But if the AG want to approve it, creating this district or using bond proceeds from it, we can spend that 3 million that we were gonna spend on creating or doing, whatever we want to do as far as drainage goes. We'll spend that.
So what you're saying is take that 3 million, move it over here to the not general fund, but move it over to a separate
bridge.
account
That's
for a
right, yeah.
thing.
The bridge.
And then take 3 million out of the thing, go ahead and do the bridge replacement.
Yes.
And so we've satisfied
Yes.
the bond
And it's money
funds.
we're gonna spend anyway.
And they're gonna take.
Sue, shake your head, yes, that all
Yeah.
makes sense. All right, that's fine, I'm with you now, I got it, okay.
You're just gonna move it over and spend it.
Yeah, I
I
got
don't
it.
know.
We use the dollars that we're allowed to use
Yes,
for that purpose.
yes.
I just don't know about putting 3.5 million in it.
Still.
3 million.
Another
3
2
million.
Three.
The ones there.
But Jared, it's the 2 million that we're getting from the proceeds from the bond.
Premium, I know.
So I'm not 100% sure exactly where we are at the moment, but
Yeah.
let's see if we can't figure out something here. First page, no change. Second page, you've got Jay's projects, you've got the Old Pearson Road.
I don't know why my project ain't on front page. I got on a vote on that the other day.
Yeah. Well, I
That's
will
'cause
do
it's
my
still
best
up
to
to
get it
vote.
on the
Voted
first
on it
page.
the very first day.
I've
'cause
come
I
to the
said I got
realization-
you $1 million.
I've come to the realization that the less, y'all are like calves staring at a new gate. The less I can change, the better off we are. So first page has not changed. Second page, you got an added 1.3 that my impression is that there's agreement on the added 1.3. You're sitting at 24,763.8. That's where we are right now, generally agreed upon. All right,
Well,
so
I guess those three down there proved that 300,000, for Old Pearson. But
it actually came out of Daniel's mouth at the
like I said, I
end
guess
of the
those
work
three down
meeting.
there were on board with doing that.
Okay.
Actually, I had left at that point in time to go to DirecTV when that was
Thank DirecTV.
All right.
All right, so the,
put
on the basis of
prioritize.
what we talked about today, the additional projects down there, Oak Grove has been taken out.
Yeah.
We will work on that.
Well, it's actually,
That's-
yeah, it has been taken, you're gonna take the 250 out of your million.
Right.
So the youth court facility, I don't have any good feeling on that, so I've interlineated that. That's off the table.
Well, tell me explain again, road flooding emergency.
That's those two down, one project in Jay's district and one up there in Daniel's district. We approved a water study about a month ago, or about a month and a half ago, for what's the one in Daniel's?
It's
Yeah,
Pine,
I didn't
Pine,
get in that.
Huh?
They left me out.
Pine
Really? I
Brook,
thought you got included. I thought
Pine
you did.
Brook.
Pine Brook.
Pine Brook
Pine
subdivision
Brook, yeah.
is the
million
kind
and a
of the
half?
ground zero. Yeah, look, again,
I mean, I'm getting at that, every bit of that's off on
And we
private
do a lot
property,
of
right?
Rocks down there on Terra Road for $1.5 million.
So I'm thinking we scratching that.
But
Well, that's a
That-
drainage project.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Right.
Okay. I'm lining through road flooding emergency. So that leaves us with, at the moment, the drainage district implementation, which
Are you just gonna kick me to the curb here, Craig, again?
No, sir.
It sounds
I'm
like
not.
you just kind of dodging all
passing
over
you
me.
right up.
Getting
Yeah.
them 3 votes.
I'm not feeling the love here, not at all.
Craig, if the
No.
$2 million for the drainage district is to be premium dollars, why do we need to include it in the bond? We don't need to add money to it, do we?
Well, I'm putting it in there and not counting on the premium side of it at the moment, because I don't know what the premium's gonna be until y'all tell me what we're gonna issue.
That's true.
So I'm just trying to figure out what are all of the projects. I'm starting there. What are the projects that we want to work on here? Then we'll figure out what the numbers are.
Sir?
So if you include
Oh, well.
the Grants Ferry Parkway
Let me ask
extension
this
project.
question to Jay then, while we're cutting for
It ain't
number
just me.
purposes.
There's the 2 other ones here too.
Well, I mean, you're the one who wants the contingent, and I appreciate
Yeah.
that. I don't have a problem with that. If I go to the mayor, to the board, and I say, okay, guys, we need a more detailed cost breakdown of the road project from Lewis Wilson to south of Interstate 20. That's the north side of
All the way to 80.
all the way to. Suppose the developer's building a service road to 80 from the main road that's going to be built. That's my understanding. Go through their property. So if they come back and say, okay, we think the whole project's going to cost us $5 million, you know, and you're
Talking
okay.
about one end to the other, or the 3
One,
quarters?
one from the road project from Lewis Wilson up to the south side of 80. The whole road project is going to be, because that's what it is. That's how it's being sold, as one project. I'm prepared to put money on the south end, because if I do that, that gives them the motivation to get the north end going and do it at the same time, you know, to get it all done at the same time and help open it up, you know. That's why, because they initially asked me money for just the north side of the road. I said, give me the south side. Let me see if I can come up with some money there. I think the board maybe more.
I just don't see, I don't think 3/4 mile road.
Well, it's a total 2 miles.
Yeah, well, I
From
mean.
Lewis Wilson
So
to.
now we're going to the whole road.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, is
Well,
this
it's not the
not,
whole, well, you know, it's not the whole road. I mean, but my question is, because Jay said he wants to make sure the city has skin in it.
Right.
You know, so we get a commitment from them, this $5 million project, 4 million, whatever, that we're gonna do, as long as we don't exceed 2.5 or up to 50%. I'll have a number back by the 15th.
what, is there not, wouldn't that road qualify from a wave of MPO money?
Sure.
Good.
I mean, they hadn't even pursued that. Did they try it this last time?
No, because they were wanting to do,
Had other priorities.
they have the East.
So that's why he said it
East
wasn't a
Metro.
priority.
They're trying to, he was focused on East Metro.
Well, this would,
They didn't get anything. They've already got all the funding for that they're
No,
going
they
to
don't.
get.
They're shy about 10
They're
million.
going to get through the MPOs. You know, the rest of their dollars are all coming from the state bond.
truly, this sounds like a very good MPO money project because it's not high dollar.
Well,
Go ahead and
no,
kick
no,
it.
no, no.
No, I'm not. I'm just throwing it out there.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just throwing it out
Just
there.
take
I
the
want you to-
knives. Here, let me turn my back.